story about the mayor, and apparently the mayor is solidly behind the live PD show. Critics held a news conference urging Tulsa to stop participating in the show. I guess you guys have heard about this. Senator Regina Goodwin was downtown today in front of the City Hall. Also, Gregory Robinson II, community organizer.
Wait. I thought Mark Lewis was our community organizer.
Well, they've got to recruit,
Competition?
No, they recruit. They got to get Gregory in there.
Barack Hussein will always be the community organizer of my heart.
One of the things, they sent a letter to Mayor Bynum Friday, January 10th, and they have some demands that the police chief must. One of them is intentionally utilize and rely upon data to drive their decision making through an equity lens and make data more readily accessible to the public. My concept is that this is a big fake fight between these pretense activists, and they're giving Mayor Bynum a reason to do what he wants to do anyway. The whole idea of nationalizing the police force is what they're looking to do. They're pushing for a national, they want to do community policing by going out and finding somebody nationally. They keep saying, if you want to make Tulsa the best that it can be, we've got to ship it in from out of state. The idea of making Tulsa the best is to show Tulsa as the best. We don't want to ship in the best to Tulsa to make Tulsa the best.
Who's claiming they want equity through data? Are these the activists?
These are the activists. Now, 4 people signed this letter. It was City Councilor Vanessa Hall Harper and State...
So Vanessa Hall Harper and the other community organizers would like to see 60% of the arrests come from the African American community, because that's what you would expect if you look at the data.
Well, let me read who else was involved. Vanessa Hall Harper, Regina Goodwin, State Representative, State Representative Monroe Nichols, and State Senator Kevin Matthews.
Yeah, they're taking a page from the Tulsa School Board strategy of, we got to bring in East Coast people here, because we got to bring in East Coast values and East Coast socialism and tyrannical overlord rule. That's really what's going on here.
So they're also, instead of just letting the mayor do his job, and I was competitive with the mayor, it's not like I'm a big fan or anything, but instead of letting the mayor simply do his job, they say this hiring of the police chief must also be a trust building process. And I guess we're gonna do a whole other thing besides just hire it. And building trust is one of your core priorities, they say. In this letter to the mayor, we are deeply grateful to hear that building trust is one of your core priorities, hence the fake fight. This idea that they're going to demand that trust building process, he's already stated that trust building is part of what he wants to do. You mentioned other communities. They say over and over these concepts, Ferguson, St. Louis, and Seattle, and we must do the same. Let's see, Ferguson, riot, St. Louis, riot, Seattle going to H in an H bag.
Well, I'm kind of split on this because, taking advice from Democrats on crime, on the one hand, they're experts, right? Most of the violent crime and election crime is committed by Democrats. So I am kind of like, okay, maybe they know what they're talking about. But then you look at the outcomes in cities that have been run by Democrats for decades, and you've got the worst violent crime. You've got the highest poverty, highest drug use and diseases that we've eradicated in the industrialized world for like 1,000 years exist now on the left coast.
Again, community policing can only, this is from their letter, community policing can only be defined by members of the community themselves. Which is
criminals?
Kind of interesting, because then they followed up with, the mayor must conduct a national search for our next chief, which community are you talking about?
We need another Deborah Guest
and once again, another reference, a national search is the only method to ensure that you have the best person in the country to lead the Tulsa Police Department. When did we all of a sudden get to the point we have to have the best person in the country to lead the police department?
Because Detroit is too big to keep in Michigan.
Now, they go on further to the future of policing and public safety, still from this letter from these 4 to the mayor. Oh, they're really going to insist that he uses the city's equity indicators.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's part of what he's doing anyway.
What equity indicators?
Yeah, and then also
what are they?
he's got the
Buzzwords.
Oh no, on the city has its own equity indicators.
Reparations, don't you know?
Remember we did a show on the expiration date of zip codes? The fact that I actually know one person that has lived in 3 zip codes in her lifespan. Not one person lives in one zip code their entire lifespan. And they're saying anybody that lives north, in fact, they say at their press conference today in front of City Hall, they make the illusion that if you live in North Tulsa, you are black. And if you live in South Tulsa, you are white. And that's just bottom line. And
That's stereotyping. That's
gee whiz.
that's prejudice.
I know.
Who's practicing this prejudice?
Right, I got a lot of white friends. I know where they live.
Where do they live? In North Tulsa or South
That's
Tulsa?
what I'm saying. They're policed.
Don't you have a home in North Tulsa?
Yeah, but don't you remember how we used our white privilege at the Trump rally to have the police come to our aid?
Tom.
About an hour later,
I got my Cherokee
Tom,
card,
you're
too.
probably at least 2% African. So
Put me in a dress, I look like Pocahontas. Boom!
yeah.
Now we're going to try to run a sound clip from this Gregory, the community activist guy.
The organizer.
Yeah, Gregory Robinson II, where now part of their meeting today was talking about how the police should de-escalate issues. We're not here to divide. We're not here to cause problems. And listen to the reference that Robinson makes at the end of this clip here. This is from today in front of City Hall.
All right.
I hope there's actual audio. If not, it's just a moment of silence for the cognitively impaired here.
We patched in.
Now, I was rolling audio. You couldn't hear it, and you might have talked over it. So here, I'll do this for you so that you guys can hear. We're trying to work up our tech, ladies and gentlemen. Now, he's talking to police officers about police officers. He said, lipstick on a pig is still a pig. Now, a pig reference is typically a slanderous term towards police officers.
That's right.
I don't think that's de-escalation.
Blue Lives Matter.
Also, they're conflating you know how they use these terms about climate change, where that's a redundant term, and then they'll say things like a food desert, which is an opposite term. Well, here's what they're saying now. They're going to reject. They want the police to reject the warrior stance in favor of a guardian stance. Now, if you're protecting your loved ones with violence to protect your loved ones, are you a warrior or a guardian? The answer is yes, you're both.
Yeah.
The idea that they would suggest that there's a difference between warrior and guardian is a ridiculous redundancy.
I can't even go there, Tom, because I'm just thinking about all the clinically and morbidly obese people that live in these food deserts.
Yeah, well,
can't get over it.
There's a food Uber, too. You can have them come right to you.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, yeah, that's the big story there. There's a great story that Kevin Canfield from Tulsa World put out on this thing, so you should check that out. Once again, if you're just tuning in, Tom McKay, your host with 3D Politics, David Van, Soonerpolitics.org, and David D'Ambroso at Dave D'Ambroso on Facebook.